So you need to realize the most important part of a clip is the first 2 seconds. People are making a decision when they're scrolling if they're going to watch your video or keep scrolling. So you need to make it very important that your audience is like recognized in the first couple of seconds.
Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day Success Podcast. As usual, I've got an amazing guest with me today and someone who I'm really excited to talk to and share with you guys as well. I've got Brady Sticker from ChurchCandy on, and not only does he have one of the coolest company names in the world, he's managed to take all the things that he's learned and pursue a passion of his to earn money and help an entire industry out. And I'm going to mess that up. So before I do that any further, Brady, give us the elevator pitch on you and ChurchCandy before we dive into things. Tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, man. So for me, I have always had a love for churches and ministry. When I was growing up, my dad, Billy, you actually might know this. He actually used to be a youth pastor. Whenever I was born, he didn't have his own business. He didn't have ChurchCandy. He worked as a waiter at Cheddar's and was a youth pastor. And I've grown up in church. When I graduated high school, I went to a Bible college to pursue a career in youth ministry. I wanted to be a youth pastor. And as I was going to school to become a youth pastor, my dad started ChurchCandy. And whenever he had about maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen accounts, 2 dozen clients, he reached out to me to kind of help him manage this as it grew. And I came on board and we scaled that company, now doing multi-7 figures. We have over 20 team members that are full-time, all based here in the United States. But Jonathan, between you and me, I'm just not super passionate about chiropractors. Don't tell my dad that. And so at the time, I knew God was calling me to do more than just that. And so at my church where I served as a youth pastor, I started helping our ministry with digital marketing. So like Facebook, Instagram ads, things like that. And we saw a lot of success with it. God gave us a lot of favor there. And essentially what happened, my pastor just started telling his friends and referring people over to us. And at the beginning of 2021, I called up the state of Texas and registered ChurchCandy Marketing LLC. And we already had like 6 or 7 churches that were kind of working with us. But we officially started working at it and taking it very seriously at the beginning of 2021. And now we've scaled that up to the past year. Now have about 65 churches that we're working with. And man, it's awesome. It's so fulfilling. I love helping the kingdom. And the fact that we have like 5 full-time team members at ChurchCandy makes me happy too. That it's like, not only is it helping support my family, but one, the churches, they're reaching more people and they're growing and their ministries are thriving. And our team members are getting to step into the purpose that God's called them to, and they're being fulfilled and they love what they do. And it's they're being able to provide for their families doing this as well. It's it's really cool.
It's truly one of those win-win-win situations. I mean, everybody wins. You're winning, your churches you're working for are winning, your team's winning. It's just fabulous. And I'm candidly, I don't want to say shocked, but I'm just so impressed to see the growth that you've had over the last couple of years. It's really been amazing. And to watch you take that as a young man yourself and just leverage the skills that you've got, the knowledge that you've got, and pursuing that passion. As an old guy on my end, who's a little bit older than your dad, I'm impressed as all get out. And it's been so much fun to watch you grow through that. And it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what do you do for churches? I mean, at ChurchCandy, it's not just about putting peppermints from Grandpa in the back of the church. What do you do?
Yeah. So Jonathan, we focus on helping churches get new families into their Sunday services. There are great church marketing companies that do amazing graphic designs, and there's amazing church marketing companies that will help the pastors do the graphics for their video content or make service announcements and do the sermon slides for them. All that's great, We don't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
We only care about getting new families into the building of these churches. And I think I had said that we started in 2021. We actually started in 2022. Uh,
Okay, even more
ever
impressive.
since, ever since COVID, all the 2020s just kind of blend together.
Yes, they
Uh,
have.
and so, we started in 2020. So last year, it's crazy, was our first full year as a company. And so we focus on lead generation, helping these churches get connected with families in their communities. And so kind of the process works. We'll set up ads on typically right now Instagram and Facebook and seeing
Mm-hmm.
the best results. So just doing lead gen ads on there, where the main call to action for the church is plan your visit to Vibrant Church. Would kind of like be
Mm-hmm.
what the ad is about. Say, hey, if you live in the Woodlands, which is where I live outside of Houston, if you live in the Woodlands area and you're looking for a new church home, we'd love to invite you to our ministry. We have services at these times right here in the heart of the Woodlands. Click below to plan your visit to our Sunday service. And essentially, the funnel works. People see the ad, they click on it, they fill out a form, basically answering name, email, and phone number. And then we'll help the pastors follow up with the people that go
Mm-hmm.
through that form and plan a visit. So they'll get the family gets a text saying, hey, John, this is Pastor Brady with Vibrant Church. Saw you plan to visit for our church this Sunday. Quick question: how many people are coming with the Smith crew? And it's cool because a lot of the times people are maybe don't have great relationships with the past. Like if you especially look at larger churches, I know a lot of
Sure.
people that have never even met their pastor. Like their pastor does not know their name. And just as your church grows, that tends to happen. And so making it very personable, and we'll coach the pastors to film like a selfie video and send it to every single person that plans a visit, and like say their name in it, rather than just having like one video they send to everyone. So we kind of coach the pastors with doing that and following up with the leads that we generate with them. And we automate a lot of that too, but you can't really automate pastoral care. So the way we
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
frame it is we'll help you initiate the conversation, but you guys need to be there to kind of take over and follow up with that person, make them feel seen, make them feel heard, in order for them to actually show up on Sunday morning to your church. So that's really what we focus on. We will do things like websites and SEO and some of these things. I don't even like to call them upsells. It's just if people ask if we do it and that's a service that they want, absolutely we'll help them with that. However, you know this SEO. If I get a new SEO client
Mm-hmm.
today in January, it might not be until June or July before we're really seeing rock star results. Uh,
Absolutely.
Whereas I can turn on a Facebook ad for a church today and they have a new family show up on Sunday. And so they're really quick wins. And I think that is a credit to most of our results because it's so quick to get results for these churches. They're ecstatic. Our retention's great. They're telling their friends. And I think that's one of the main reasons we've grown so quickly in the past year.
Well, just an amazing story, and so cool to hear that whole setup. I know as we were doing the pre-call, I was mentioning just last night. I saw you had shared that there was a one of your churches had shared, and I'll paraphrase, but he can't imagine how they did church planting before ChurchCandy, because it's so much easier. You provide so many tools to help make that happen, and that's just amazing to see because while I've never planted a church, I can only imagine just from my role at my church how difficult it is to get new butts in the seats every Sunday. It's hard. It's not easy. And how do you compete with all the messages that are out there, everything that's going on? It's just so amazing to see what you've done there and how you've pulled that together. Because you just got started in 2022, Brady, what do you think is the reason you've been able to grow so fast? I mean, you went from essentially zero to, I think you said, what, nearly close to 70, 60, 70 clients now. Is that correct?
Correct.
How did you do that in less than a year? That's just amazing growth.
Yeah, so a couple of things there. One of them, it's you've got to have good results. If you're not providing results for your clients, you're not going to be able to scale that because you're not going to get referrals. You're not going to get testimonials. It's going to be really, really hard to grow. And so I'm a big believer in giving them quick wins And so that's why we focus so much on lead gen and not that much on SEO. Does that mean these churches don't
Mm-hmm.
need SEO? No, of course they do. But here's the thing. I know it's going to take forever to get them results, and churches are not made of money, and
Correct.
they have limited resources. So look, we can talk about SEO down the road, but this is why I tell our clients, let me build some trust with you first. I can turn on some ads on Facebook tomorrow and you have a new guest show up on Sunday. Let's start getting you some results there, then we'll talk about SEO. And so that's kind of what we'll do with our clients. But so there's a couple of things that I really think were key to our growth. One of them, us, we're ChurchCandy. We focus on helping churches. We've really established a niche inside of that niche, inside of the church planting community. And so if you don't know what church
Okay.
plant is, essentially, imagine like a startup. If you think of like a tech business startup, but it's a ministry, it's a church. So you're starting a church from scratch. It might just be your family, and you want to grow that family from you, your wife, and your kids to a church that sees 200 people a Sunday. So there's a huge community of church planters that literally they're people that are maybe about my age or maybe a little bit older that have been serving in ministry for several years, and they want to start their own church. And there's organizations out there that will help them do that by providing finances. Like there's an organization called ARC, the Association of Related Churches, that will help fund these church planters. And it's an
Okay.
amazing ministry. And they'll like match your fundraising dollars up to $50,000. And then you essentially, as your ministry, you to pay back that loan, you just tithe 10% of all of the giving revenue that your ministry generates back to that organization. And they take that and they go reinvest it into more church plants. And so
I love it.
it's such a cool concept. And they've planted like over 1,000 churches over the past like 25 years.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and they were the ones that our church that I was on staff at, that I still attend today, that's how we planted. So I was on staff at a church plant, on staff as a volunteer, because I was working
Mm-hmm.
ChurchCandy and then serving as the youth pastor, essentially my free time. And then I was helping us with our Facebook ads, and then I had other church planters reach out. And the reason why I love church planters, essentially church plants, more than just regular churches, because if you're a church plant and you're just getting started, you need to invest in marketing. You
Oh,
need to get the word
absolutely.
out, because how else are people going to know about you? Compared to a
Yep.
church that's been there for 50 years, it might not be a need as much as a want. And so I think that's another thing that has kind of come down in helping us scale so quickly is niching down. Like we know what we're good at, and we're the experts in getting new guests and having successful church launches for church plants. And man,
Mm-hmm.
we've just had so much favor with that organization, ARC. And so I'll kind of take a step back. So uh, about coming up on a year ago, I went to their big conference. I couldn't even afford a booth at that time, because they'll let you sponsor it. We didn't have,
Sure.
like, we could have had that money, but it would have drained our business bank account, and then we would
Mm-hmm.
have like been struggling to pay our
Exactly.
expenses coming out of our, essentially my ChurchCandy paycheck. I'd have to fund it. So we didn't get a booth. We just went, me and my wife went and just tried to make connections. We had a couple of clients at that conference, and we just went as partakers. Like we just bought tickets and went. And one of the guys that I met there, he'd pastored a church, and he had essentially done all of the coaching when it came to social media advertising for all of ARC. And have you read that book? I've actually got a copy of it right here. This book, Traffic Secrets by
Oh,
Russell Brunson.
absolutely. Love it.
So one of the things he talks about in here is coming up with a dream 100, not of
Mm-hmm.
100 ideal clients, but 100 referral sources or 100
Yes, I love
industry
that.
experts. And this guy, or his name's Brad, so I'm just gonna call him Brad. He was one of those people for me.
Oh, cool.
He not only is his own pastor, but he does a lot of coaching inside of this organization that has planted over 1,000 churches, and they're planting hundreds of churches a year. And like that is my niche. I know that I can get results for these clients, so I wanted to get in good with him. So I just reached out to him. I was like, "Hey man, I just sent you a copy of my book," and so I actually wrote a book called The Plan Your Visit Playbook. I sent him a copy of it, and I was like, "Hey man, I'd love to get connected." And this guy Brad, he has his own software. It's not just like a high level. white labeled. Like he literally had paid a software developer and to create this tool to help churches get more people to plan a visit to their Sunday service. It's like a plugin that goes on their website.
Sure.
And that was another reason why he was on my Dream 100 list. And I kind of took the Hormozy method of just reaching out to them, trying to build connections and just give value and just give more than I took, like giving value to this guy without expecting anything in return. And what ended up happening is I was like, hey man, like I love what you guys are doing. You know, I'd love to get connected. We're getting great results for the churches we're working with. You know, I'd love to kind of show you what we're doing. And he's like, absolutely, man. And so I ended up going in and setting up some Facebook ads for him. I was like, no cost. I don't want you to pay me anything. Like, I just want to show you what we can do, and just help you out with that. So I literally, like, he added me as an admin on his ads account, and he has another business that like sells LED walls to churches. And so like he's got all these different entrepreneurial things that I was helping him with. And he's like, dang, Brady, like we got so many leads. Like I have to go hire a new salesperson to follow up with all these people. I cannot
I
do that.
love it.
And he's like, dude, this is impressive. And so we started working together. He's like, man, you know, ARC has always asked me, ARC, that big church planting association, ARC has always asked me, like, is there a way for me to just offer a service for these churches? But I've just never had the capacity to do that. You guys have amazing systems. You're getting great results. Would you be interested in doing some kind of JV, so a joint venture with ARC? You know, he told me, Jonathan, he said, I bet ARC would actually pay for their church planters. They would pay you to do it for the churches.
Oh, wow.
I did not believe him. I thought I thought it was too good to be true. I was like,
sure.
I kind of blew it off. I was like, sure, man. Yeah. Like, let's look into that. If ARC wants to pay for it, awesome. I just wanted to be one of their preferred partners where you pay like a membership fee and they refer their church planters to them, because ARC, yes, they help plant churches, but they also have resources and conferences where thousands of churches go to it. And so they had a big influence. It's an association, just like any industry association. Well, sure enough, he wasn't full of it. He came back and he's like, look, Brady, I've got a meeting, another meeting with ARC. You know, they're really interested in this. And I think they're going to pay, they're willing to pay for us to do this for these churches. And I was like, oh, dang. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Let's look into it. And kind of fast forward, going back through some negotiations and all of this. Essentially what happened is ARC is right now we're in the middle of what they're calling a pilot program, to where they want us to be their sole provider for digital marketing services for their church plants. And they covered the cost. They paid for 20 churches to go through our program, church plants, to where the church planter, the church was responsible for paying for the ad spend, but ARC paid for us. So I got 20 new clients like that. And I had to go and like hire a new team member, like just to do
I was going to say
that. We're still kind of in the middle of it right now, but the back end of December and the beginning of January, man, we're so hectic. Like, it was onboarding all these clients. They had big grand opening services. They were spending thousands of dollars on ads, and we had to get it all together. But bro, we've been killing it for them. And I think this pilot program, I think it's going to go well enough to where ARC's going to come back and say, hey, we want to extend this for every single church that launches with us. And so they paid for 6 months of our services for 20 clients. Granted, we gave them a discount, but they paid for the full 6 months all up front.
Oh, nice. Great benefit to the business.
For all 20 churches. So,
wow.
For us, we were like, okay, awesome. There's a lot of revenue. And you know, I'm looking at my bank account. I was like, bro, I'm going to go buy a Tesla right now. Like, I can finally afford it. And my wife is like the stable person. She's like, okay, well, we got to remember, we have to give Brad and their software company, because part of the deal was they would get access to Brad's software.
Sure.
And so we've got to give them their cut. And then also that's to pay payroll for 6 months, because seeing all that lump sum, I'm like, oh, bro, like we can, like, because our church is doing a new building campaign right now too. And I'm like, bro, we could be like one of the number one donators. Like, again, don't tell my dad this. I'm sure he's going to listen to this. But I was like, I want to outgive ChurchCandy as a
That
company
would be
that's only a
awesome.
year old. Like, bro, I'm ready. But we haven't done that yet. The money's just sitting in the account, and we've tithed it. We've given 10% of it back
Oh, of course, of
back to the
course.
church, obviously. But from there, like we're excited to see continued growth with that. But man, it's so cool. Like I was getting texts over the past 2 weeks of these churches that had their grand opening services this past Sunday and the Sunday before. They are having hundreds of new people at their, and this is a church on day one starting with 500, 600, 700 people at their church.
Whoa. No
And
way.
it's awesome stuff, man. And now typically with this church planting model, you're going to have a huge day one, you're going to have a dip, and then you kind of level
Yep.
up. So
Yep.
they expect, a big day one. So let's say you had 500 people on day one, which a lot of them did. The lowest was like 170, and it was in Columbus, Ohio, and it like snowed like crazy that morning.
Oh
And
no.
and so they basically had a relaunch again the next Sunday, and I haven't gotten back with them to see what their stats were. So 500 on day one, typically 50% the next week,
Okay.
and then maybe another 25% cut from there. And so you're having a great day one, and then not everyone's going to come back, but hopefully if you have good
Sure.
retention, good systems in place, which ARC, they provide a lot of coaching and resources to help you with that. And so you're probably going
Excellent.
to level out around 200, 250 maybe. But even then, your first
That's
month
still
as a
huge.
church is great. I know so many churches that have like 20 to 50 people that meet every Sunday.
Well,
Like
I was going to say, I know churches have done that 5 years and haven't hit the 250 mark yet.
yeah, like the average church in America only has like 65 people in it. And I know that because I
Yeah.
Googled it, because that's like an important stat for me to know. And
Absolutely.
because so I'm really big. Another thing that's led to our growth is my niche. It's easy to make content around. Like for example, if I was working with restoration companies, man,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to make a TikTok. It's like, hey, if you're a restoration company and you're looking for
Yeah.
this is the 3 things you need. Man, it's kind of hard. Like that's so niched. But for me,
Yes.
it's easy to be like, hey, if you're a church, here's 3 things you can do to get new guests. Like it's easy for TikTok's algorithm to pick up and show that to church leaders, pastors,
Sure.
and because it's ministry things, bro. You can go look at my TikTok. So many like hate comments and people like one of the most recent ones was, if you're getting paid to preach, you're doing it wrong. It's like, okay, no, pastors should get paid. Like they got
Yeah. Bring it
families,
on. Bring it on.
and so anyway, I love those. I love those hate comments. It fuels the algorithm. It gets me more views. I probably have a dozen clients that have found me from just the content we've posted on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts. And so right now I have a team member. Half of her time is managed on a lot of those new ARC accounts that signed
Sure.
up this past month. The other half of her time is social media management for me. And so
Well,
personally, I deleted Instagram. I deleted TikTok. It's a time waster for me. I sit there and
mm-hmm.
scroll. I will check it maybe once a day just to make sure there's no like DMs from
Yep.
pastors or like important comments of someone and she helps me with that too. But I still like to, and also I want to check stats like how many views a reel got or how many views a TikTok got. But so I've got a team member, and all she does, other than yes, she's managing clients, but she's also
Sure.
managing my social media, my personal. And so a lot of it's chopping up podcast clips where I interview big pastors or influencers in ministry, chopping that up and posting that as reels and TikToks. And that's another thing too, is the niche we've chosen. It's easy to make content around and to find that there.
Well, it may be easy, but I got to say, Brady, you've done an amazing job of creating engaging content. I love the stuff that you're posting, especially your shorts, because it shows up all the time in my feed, and it's all really good, actionable, quick hitting. I mean, it's like you've got the formula just perfect. And I think, it really just a testament to your skills and what you've done. You made a
Before,
comment,
hey,
yeah, go ahead.
before we even move on, do you mind if I kind of share some of the things that I've learned in making content
Please
to help
do.
me get
No,
more
that'd be great.
clients? Okay, so here's a couple of things. If you want to get more business from TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, this is what you need to do. So you need to realize the most important part of a clip is the first 2 seconds. People are making a decision when they're scrolling if they're going to watch your video or keep scrolling. So you need to make it very important that your audience is like recognized in the first couple of seconds. So I'll start out every single video. Hey, if you're a church or a pastor wanting to right? So if I'm not a church or a pastor, I'm just going to keep scrolling, right? But if I am a church leader or I'm a pastor, I'm going to be like, oh, this is talking to me. We call that a hook. So literally, I have a Google spreadsheet that me and my team work on, and it's just full of different hooks of different video ideas. So a hook is just a video content. A hook is just the first couple of seconds of the video. So start with a hook. You want to get them to stop scrolling, and then you want to go into very quick, give the info, make it actionable, go through, edit any gaps, like make it very quick. People have super short attention spans. You want it to be a very short video. I try to keep all of ours under 60 seconds. If I can get 30 seconds or less, even better, as long as the info is there. Yep. And then at the end, you always want to give them a call to action. I try not to give too many call to actions that are, hey, and you can get a free copy of my book in my bio, because I have a free plus shipping offer where they just pay like $8 for this book to get it shipped to them. I try not to do that too much because I don't want it to be like too salesy. A lot of the times my call to action will be, hey, if you want to learn more about social media and churches, like and follow this page, right? That's as simple as that, man. And I probably get DMs every single day from pastors like, hey, I want to learn, like, love your content, love to learn more about what you guys are doing. And the thing is, a lot of it, like I did one recently, and I've actually got a couple of books. I did one. It was 3 books that every pastor and someone that works at a church that's like over their social media is typically their role would be a church communications director or church social media manager. And so I said, hey, if you're a pastor, or here's 3 books every pastor and church social media manager should read. And then one of them was Meta Church. One of them was church communications. I just filmed it. I filmed it like a month ago, but haven't taken these books off my desks.
That's all right.
And then the third one was my book. And
I see, the third one's got to be yours. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and I said, hey, this is actually my book. You can get it for free in my bio. Just pay for the shipping. I'll cover the cost of the book. And one, that's clout for right here, the Dream 100, because it's other influencers, the authors of those books. And so they commented and they reshared it on their Instagram stories. But 2, I was getting emails from my fulfillment company that ships out the books for me. And they're, hey, this new order that you put in, that's got us out dry. Can you order us some new books? And it was just from that one video specifically when that went live. We got so many people. And then the way that funnel worked is once they order the book, it just takes them straight to a calendar. It's like, hey, get a free church marketing strategy session with Brady below. And right now, the bottleneck in our business is me. Because all of our clients, we don't do any cold calling, don't do any cold emails. I don't have anything against that. It's just not something that we needed. And my calendar stays full just from all the inbound we're getting from referrals, people finding us on TikTok. The bottleneck is I need more people to take these sales calls. And so I've got another guy that we're onboarding in February. We're recording this on the last day in January of 2023. So in February, bringing on our first like sales guy. That way my calendar's like, I'm able to breathe. Like even scheduling this podcast interview with you, Jonathan, I'm pretty sure I had to like push it back and move it. And
I get it though. Yeah.
It was hectic because I'm staying busy, but man, that's of social media right now. And earlier I said it was easy. It's not that it's easy. It's easy for my niche compared to some of these other niches. Unless you're just general, do work with every kind of contractor and trade, it might be easy to make content around that, like a Tommy Mello kind of guy, like depending on like anyone that works at some kind of trade can get value from his content. But a lot of these other niches, I imagine it's got to be really hard to make content around. And that's another thing too, man, is you got to be passionate about the niche that you choose. because that's why my dad, he loves chiropractic. He's got his own personal testimony of how chiropractic has helped his life and some family members, and so he believes it and he's passionate about it. He worked in a chiropractor's office for years, and for me, grew up in church. I'm passionate about ministry. I'm passionate about the kingdom of God. It's easy for me to make content around it. I can imagine if your niche was, restoration companies, you got to be just pulling out teeth trying to think of content ideas and trying to make content for your niche specifically. But then you've got people like Jonathan, other guys in the 7-figure agency mastermind that are rock stars that are doing stuff like that.
No, absolutely. I was just going to ask, when you said, it's a book a strategy call with Brady, how long before you implement, and not everybody knows this, but I know from what ChurchCandy does, they've got a video that your dad does prior to that sales call to prep. How long before we have Brady's video that, I can learn from, that they see before they go to talk to somebody on your team, to make sure, because it seems that your growth is just the next logical step in where you're headed.
Yeah. So that's the plan right now. I just get on a call with them and I do that pre-call live.
Yep.
But that's also the issue of building an influencer-based business. And I feel weird calling myself an influencer.
No, but you are.
But a very micro influencer for sure. But because I'm the face, if someone else is talking to me, or talking to someone else that's not me on my team, I can just imagine it's going to be harder for that sale. That close rate's going to be lower, and that's just going to be the way it is.
Just the reality. Yeah.
And so I'm going to have to record some kind of pre-call video that essentially walks through our process. But man, like, honestly, I think I'm terrible at sales. I don't do like the question-based framework. I don't do the Wolf of Wall Street guy, Jordan Belfort, his like straight line approach, all that. Dude, I'm bad. I'm gonna be like, hey, what's up? What made you want to reach out? I kind of asked them. I asked the pastor, what made you want to reach out and get on Zoom today? And then I just kind of word vomit, share my screen, show results, and it's also, that's another thing too, is like whenever you just have case studies and good results, like you don't need to be good at sales. Like you can just show, like I literally just share my screen, like, hey, this is what we do. This is how much it costs. One of the big things for us is there's like 2 costs that go with us. There's ad spend, and there's us. Number one question is, okay, how much should I spend on ads? I just created we call it the ChurchCandy calculator, churchcandy.com/calculator. This was going to be my ninja hack. So spoiler, no one steal this. And I'm not going to be there in March for Josh Nelson. So over the summer, I'll share this with everyone. But it's essentially a calculator where you put in the goal, so whatever your KPI is. So whether it's number of appointments booked for our clients, it's new guests showing up to their church. Like that's the KPI that's important. Yep. So we put, okay, how many new guests do you want? And then the next one is, on average, we see each family member is about 2.4 people. And then we put what's our estimated show rate. And it really, we found for doing this with churches, their show rate on how many people show up is 100% dependent on how they follow up. And I guess that's probably with any industry, but we found a lot of these churches will have like 60 to 70% show rate with the people that plan a visit to their church if they just make a connection with someone from that church's staff.
Makes sense.
And so we coach them on following up and getting in touch with them. And then from there, the next one is estimated cost per lead. And so we essentially just plug in our average cost per lead. We'll show them like, hey, look, here, the average, to be conservative, we say it's about $20 a lead. We show case studies of it being way lower, but we say, hey, we also want to manage your expectations. So let's be conservative and say $20. Now, and it's basically a formula that spits out saying, okay, you need to spend this much based on all of those goals. And I want to, I talked to my team about this. Like, I want to pay like an actual software developer to make this like an actual thing on our website that's an actual calculator.
Cool.
And not, because right now it's like a Google spreadsheet that people just have to go in and duplicate. But I want this to be, and I think it's just a great tool that makes it super predictable. And it's like, okay, sweet. Yeah, if I spend this much on ads, and then we get it out. And because we have a plan in place, and we're not just like, yeah, we're gonna hope for the best, and we'll do some SEO. Man, this is how much I don't know about SEO. Saying we'll do some SEO, like I'm just what is it on the movies? Like we're gonna hack into the mainframe.
Yeah.
All right, I did some SEO. Uh-oh, I just started sharing my screen or something. No, that's yeah.
We're good.
We just get good results, and that's what's killing it for us.
Well, I so appreciate the share. I've got a couple quick questions. I know we're running up on a
Yeah.
time barrier, so I want to be quick. But one question that I know I hear all the time, and I'd love to hear your response on it, is how can you market the church? The church shouldn't need marketing. Now, I don't agree with that at all, but I'd love to hear your perspective on that, Brady, because obviously you're adding. Not only you built a successful business, apart from that, you're building the kingdom through what you're doing. How would you respond to somebody that says, "Hey, if this thing's so awesome and this church is so great, they don't need any marketing"?
I love that question. So a couple of things there. One, if they don't need marketing, then it depends what do you mean by marketing? Okay, well then they don't need a sign on their building. Right?
Thank
Then okay,
you.
what if we look at the New Testament church? You know that word of mouth is a form of marketing, right? Like
Absolutely.
that's a thing, and that's how the New Testament church was built. And here's the thing. These days, people's attention are right here. It's on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe if Jesus has called us to go out into the world and make disciples, guess what? The world is on their phones, always consuming content. And so
Thank
that's
you.
why I
Yes.
believe that the church should be the front runners in taking advantage of, honestly, I think I even said, I don't even have social media on my phone. I deleted Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, just because for me it was a time waster. I just spent so much time on it.
Sure.
I think, honestly, social media is a net negative on the world. Like, I think it has taken away and made the world worse than it has better. I say all of that, and that I've made all my money from social media and because of that. But all that being said, I and not to be like too cliche, but let's take what the enemy has made for evil, and how can we use that to serve the kingdom of God? How can we use that to build the kingdom? And so, like, that's where that comes in, because
Awesome.
I don't think there's anything wrong with having, like, the same people that say your church doesn't need marketing. They're the same people that are probably saying, like, oh, these churches, they just care about the numbers. Bro, you know who
Mm-hmm.
else cared about the numbers? Go read the book of Acts whenever it talks about how there were 3,000 people on the very first day of, like, the Christian church, whenever Peter had that very first church service in the
Yep.
upper room.
Absolutely.
Why would it document how many people were there if they didn't care about the numbers? Why would that?
Absolutely.
So obviously, like, they care about the numbers. Every single number is a soul. That's a person who God has a purpose for their life. And I want to get them connected to a church and a ministry that can help them walk in that and grow in their relationship with God and step into the purpose that God has called in their life. And that's my soapbox. That's my typical
Uh,
answer to that
I
question.
love it. I cannot imagine a better use of the talents God's given you than to help promote His kingdom. Plain and simple. And
Yeah.
you're just exemplifying that. Awesome, awesome. Well, one question before we go, and we'll make it quick. But I always ask everybody before the end of the podcast, because we've got a lot of people that watch this that are business leaders that maybe as the economy is changing a little bit in 2023 and 24, they're thinking about starting a side gig. Maybe they're in a position where they're going to lose a job and want to go out on their own. As somebody who's absolutely nailed it over the last year, what advice would you give to somebody if I said, "Hey Brady, here's $1,000, a computer and a phone. Don't worry about food. Don't worry about lodging. You're all set. You've got a vehicle. But what would you do in the first 91 days or 3 months to build a business that was going to be creating ongoing revenue?" If I said, "Hey, here's a grand, a phone, and a computer," what would you do in the first 90 days?
Great question. So here's the thing. If I had to do this and it couldn't be in ministry, I couldn't just redo ChurchCandy.
Yep, try something new. Yep.
Yeah. So what my dad did is he actually used to work in office for a chiropractor. And that's how he got to know the industry. That's how he was able to kind of get that foothold, got referrals from that. Me, I used to work in a church. I still go to the church, I still serve. I was literally playing drums on Sunday. But I was on staff as a youth pastor. So that was my end. So honestly, if I was going to start over, I would find a niche that I can provide lead generation services for. So not just website and SEO. I need quick
Yep.
wins. I need lead generation to where if I can turn on an ad on TikTok or Facebook. it gets them a win. It gets them a new customer.
Yep.
I need to find a niche like that. And I would go get a job. I would straight up go work for them. Like, go find someone that's hiring. Bro, there's so many places out there that have
Oh yeah.
now hiring signs, and people don't want to work. People would rather spend time on their phones. So I would go and straight up write a business plan. Like, look, I know you're looking for a chiropractic assistant, or I'll do the hard work. I'll scrub the floors. I'll do all of that. All I want in exchange is like, you don't even have to pay me, or you can pay me minimum wage just to not break any like labor laws. I, I, I want a case study. I've
Yep.
got this skill that is a marketable skill to where I understand I can use digital marketing, use ads on social media to get you new business. Let me do that for you. I would go get a job, get them results. Once you have a case study, you're in. And it's
Yep.
important that you want to find someone to go do this for that has somewhat of influence. Don't go do this at
Correct.
a startup that is just getting started, that doesn't have it. Like, at ChirCandy, we don't like taking on brand new chiropractors that are just getting started. ChurchCandy's a little bit different. We'll
Sure.
take the brand
Well,
new
it's
church plants.
the way you're designed. Yep.
And the reason why at ChirCandy we don't like that is because it's like everything's dependent on us. And the thing is, we would much rather take a business that's doing good and bring them from good to great. And that's
Absolutely.
why all the experts, the Josh Nelsons of the world, say when you're choosing a niche, you don't want to just niche in plumbers. You want to niche down to plumbers that are making at least $1 million a year in revenue, right? So go find a client that's
Absolutely.
already has a successful business. Go work for them. Go scrub their toilets. Go get your elbows dirty. Go do the dirty work for them. You would get them results. And then once you get a case study, then you're in. Then you can go do get involved in associations. Go ask for referrals. Maybe do a JV to where they're the face of the company, whereas you do the fulfillment. Um, that like
Great advice. Yeah.
that's one of the easiest ways to get success. That's what I would do if stuff hit the fan, and you know, ChurchCandy ended and ChirCandy ended tomorrow. I would go get a job at a dentist office, or maybe not dental, but I would find a niche. I would do some
But something.
research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd go get a job there, and part of that in the agreement getting hired. And if any good business owner would absolutely take this, would be me providing digital marketing services for them, as well as scrubbing toilets and whatever that
Yeah.
looked like.
Fantastic advice. Well, Brady, I want to thank you again for coming on. I know you've got an incredibly busy schedule. I'm bummed I won't be able to actually meet you in person in March, but it sounds like July maybe we'll have to try to get you down to Miami, and hopefully we'll be able to see you then. I'm so grateful for you for the abundance mentality you've got and sharing what you're doing and all that, and just kudos for again really just building an amazing business, serving and using those talents in what I got to say is the best way possible. Serving God and building His church in the process. So, thank you so much for your time. Last thing before we go, if anybody wants to learn more about what you do, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, get a copy of your book, talk to you, whatever? What's the next best step for them to take?
Yeah, you can look me up. I'm at Brady Sticker on most of the social media platforms. And Jonathan, thank you so much for having me. Man, I know I was listing all these stats and the strategies that we use to be successful, but
You're awesome.
at the end of the day, man, like, honestly, it's just God's favor. And He's been faithful. We've been faithful to Him, and He's been faithful right back. And so, man, we're extremely blessed, and we're super thankful to God for everything that He's done in our lives, and is going to continue to do with ChirCandy and ChurchCandy in the future.
Yeah. Ditto, and I can't agree more. Brady, thank you again. We really appreciate your time.
Awesome, man. You guys have a good one.